lovelies! Jenna and Lisa here of Alchemss with Thomas Pitilli, comic book artist and illustrator. Today we are going to be talking all about Thomas and his latest comic that he was in, the one-shot Riverdale, and some live drawing for you guys.
So Thomas, are you ready?
I'm very excited.
I told you this is going to be like a 2020 interview.
Yeah, I'm going to try not to cry.
So serious.
So, when you received the Veronica project,
Yeah.
how did you tackle the job?
Pretty much like, it's like a step-by-step process. They send me the script, and when I'm reading it, I sort of envision it like a movie, kind of. I sort of watch it play out in my head, and from there, once I have a pretty good vision of it in my head, I'll start making these little thumbnail sketches of each page, what I think each page should look like. How many panels are going to be on the page, how the eye might move throughout the page, all that kind of stuff based on what I'm reading from the script. Then I refine those thumbnails into sort of a little bit more detailed sketches, and then I send those over to the editors at Archie.
Okay.
And from there, if there needs to be any changes made, we'll make those changes. If not, then I go ahead and I start the detailing process, which is like, that's pretty much what you see. That's like the final line work after that.
So you said you get the script first.
Yeah.
Gotcha, because there's one thing in particular which I totally commend Riverdale for, which is that they're really progressive in terms of the characters in the show itself.
Yeah.
So I was going to ask you this later, but Veronica, you knew that she was Hispanic. From reading the script.
Yeah.
Because when I saw that and read that, I was like, wait, what? That's awesome.
Yeah, I think that's really cool. They're sort of diversifying the characters so much, especially with, the TV show and all that kind of stuff. So I think it's sort of opening up the audience and opening up Riverdale a lot more than perhaps it used to be. So,
yeah, definitely.
Yeah, it's cool.
The first time we watched Riverdale, we were in Montreal. And I think Jenna could tell the story because about how excited I was to watch the show.
She made us stay up. We had just gotten back from
a music festival.
And she's like, we have to watch the show. It premiered. So I was like, all right, fine. And then we're watching it, and Lisa's like, wait, what is this? This is Riverdale? Check the channel. This isn't Riverdale. And I was like, yes, it is. And she's like, this is not Archie. And I explained to her previously, as you can watch in 2 other videos that we talk about this, where I tell Lisa about how it's supposed to be a little bit darker, it's going to be a little bit edgier, and
which the one thing I do love about Riverdale is just the way it looks. I think the coloring of the show itself kind of reminds me of, it takes me back personally to like a comic.
Oh.
Just the way it's colored.
Yeah,
I think
for sure.
It editing wise, that show cinematically is amazing.
Yeah.
So it kind of is comic-ish.
Oh, for sure. It kind of has a little bit like a spooky noir feel to it a little bit, which I love as a comic book fan.
So it's like an artistic Gossip Girl.
Yeah.
I think I'm going to go with that.
I think that makes sense.
But going back to the comic, so what was the relationship like in terms of working with James Duell and Andre Shimanovitz?
That's good. That's probably better than I could say. It's great. Like this whole process, it's very collaborative. So you're sort of, you don't feel like you're just in a room somewhere making this on your own. You're there's a lot of like feedback coming from the editors, the writers, everybody on the creative team. So
wait, you guys are in a room?
No.
All right.
It's sort of like not being in a room by yourself.
Gotcha.
So we're sort of in a virtual room, a big email,
long chain.
Group chat. Yeah. So there's feedback coming in from all areas, which is really cool. That's one of the things that I like about making comics as opposed to some of the other illustration work that I do, which is a little bit more independent. This is sort of like a group effort, which is nice. It's awesome for me to see my work being colored by somebody else, and Andre did an awesome job because he'll bring in a whole other set of mood and all this other stuff that I wasn't even thinking of when I was just doing the black and white work. So it's kind of a surprise, and it's cool to see. So yeah,
that's awesome.
I like it.
So is it different for you then to have worked with the colors, because you color your own prints, right?
Generally I do all my own coloring.
Okay.
Yeah.
So what is that feeling like though, to give someone else your work.
It's awesome.
Yeah?
Yeah,
Oh.
coloring is not my, I sort of struggle with coloring. It's a lot of trial and error. And although I'm always satisfied at the end, it's kind of like, it's the most tedious part of the process for me.
Yeah.
So to have somebody else do it who's like a professional at it and has like a really good eye for specifically coloring, it's just like, it's a relief. It's really nice. So, and I also kind of like that like surprise element too of
That's true.
not knowing what it's gonna come back looking like. And so far I haven't been
never thought about
disappointed. So it's cool. Yeah.
Because I've been trying to convince Jenna to, because she's been getting into a lot of watercoloring.
Oh, cool.
And I'm
Very
like, Jenna.
rudimentary.
Yeah. So I'm like, Jenna, I'll draw stuff, and why don't you color it for me? And you don't want to because
I
I'll
was like, that's
probably
way
yell
too
at
much
you.
pressure because you're gonna yell at me.
Oh,
that you wanted
totally.
something like a purple instead of like a blue, but then I put a blue violet.
Oh, boy.
That would be me.
Yeah, art directing. Yeah.
So did, in the conversations before you took on the project, did Archie tell you that it was going to be a one-shot?
Yeah.
Yeah?
Yeah. I knew that it was going to be a one shot and that it was going to sort of focus on different characters. Each
Okay.
character was going to kind of have like their own.
Did you
few
get to
pages.
choose?
No. But you know, Veronica, to be honest, is my favorite character. Always has been.
Yeah.
So between Betty and Veronica, I've always been a Veronica guy. So so I was psyched, and also after reading the script and realizing that it takes place in New York, and
Yeah.
that her backstory is going to be that she's actually from New York, like for me that was awesome. So.
Did you, by any chance, go and sit in Central Park just to copy the Upper East Side?
Yeah, no. I just, it's a shame because I live in New York, but I just use Google Images for reference. I could have just went out, but I didn't. Yeah.
Was there a reason as to why Archie chose a one-shot instead of a series?
I think it was sort of just enough to kind of spotlight each character,
Okay.
and kind of after you've already seen a couple episodes of the show, this kind of makes sense. Like, oh, this is what happened before
So
everything started.
more so just like as a prequel.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
Exactly.
Yeah, because I thought it was pretty awesome. Veronica's prequel in the Riverdale comic, which I thought was interesting. Like, I'm reading it, seriously, I was like, wait, she's Hispanic? Because
Yeah.
I actually didn't really get that from the show.
Okay.
So it was awesome to learn that in the story.
Yeah,
And
I think it's kind of, maybe that's also what the comic was for, just to sort of reinforce things.
Yeah.
If you didn't pick it up in the show, or maybe you're new to the show or something like that. So it kind of serves that kind of purpose as well.
Yeah. So how about we talk about you?
Hey, I'm cool with that.
So what are some of your current, well, we know Riverdale is a project you already did. How about any other current or upcoming projects?
I have some upcoming things with Archie as well. I really love working with Archie. I was mentioning before how I grew up reading Archie, so to be working with these characters like as an adult is pretty awesome.
Yeah.
So anytime I get to draw like Moose or Jughead or Archie, it's like wow, it's really cool, and it's also awesome to be able to interpret it through my style. I think
Which you have a very distinct style. Which
Oh.
I really like it. Like it's awesome.
I appreciate it.
We will definitely show you guys what that style looks like. But so you've done some really big projects. Like you did stuff for Playboy.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah,
the Metro, right? International.
Oh, Metro International. Yeah.
Was it New York Times?
New York Times.
New York
Yeah.
Times. Yeah. See, I could probably just name everything, and
There
you
you
probably
go.
have already done it.
Yeah.
Yep, check that off the list. check. So, have you felt a moment yet where you were like, "I made it," or have you not felt that yet?
No, not at all. I definitely haven't felt that way. That's probably a good thing because I mean, in my mind, the things that I want to achieve and accomplish, I haven't made it at all. So, but
So, what would be that moment?
man, I don't know. Maybe I'll never actually admit that to myself. I don't
Really?
know. I'm not quite
Okay.
sure, but I definitely know that I'm at the very, very beginning stages. Even just like stylistically and artistically, about a month or two after I do something, I generally start to see all the mistakes and then want to try harder and do better and better. So
Oh, yeah.
it's kind of like I've yet to get to that place that I'm like truly, truly satisfied with what I've made. Maybe when I get there, I'll feel like, oh, maybe I'm I'm making it. I don't
Yeah.
know, but I don't think that's gonna be anytime soon.
I think most creatives are like that though. Like I'm sure
Probably.
Jen and I go back and forth. Like we look at our videos and we're like, oh, we should have did this or we should have did that. And
Yeah.
we like everything.
Yeah, I think ultimately it's a good thing. It's like it sort of makes you want to try harder.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
There's
So-
always that self-deprecation where you're just like,
Yeah.
oh, I'm no good.
Yeah.
Or like, you know,
Yeah.
where you just like, oh, this could be better, this could be better. And, you know, you're always evolving. And
Yeah, which is interesting because seriously, as an illustrator, I think you've have done a lot.
Oh, thank you.
yeah,
I
we looked
appreciate
you up
it.
and we were just kind of like, what? He's talking about us? Like,
Oh, I
okay.
appreciate it. Thank you. Thank you.
So, do you remember a moment where you realized you wanted to be an illustrator?
Specifically an illustrator, probably more when I was in college. I went to art school, but I always wanted to be an artist ever since I could remember. I think I wanted to be an artist, like just from watching cartoons. I wanted to be an animator. I wanted to make my own cartoons when I was a little kid. And then I used to make like my own books. I realized I couldn't animate, so you know,
Okay.
at like 5 years old, so I would make like my own little books that would tell a story.
That's
and then
awesome.
it wasn't long until I realized like, oh, these are actually just like comic books, and so I became really obsessed with comic books and copying comic books and making my own. And for the longest time, I just wanted to make comic books. And then I went to art school for comic books.
Oh,
and-
you did?
Yeah, I went to School of Visual Arts for cartooning.
That's awesome.
And it was actually there that I sort of got a little bit like disenchanted with it. I sort of like kind of fell out of it and went more towards standalone illustration stuff for magazines, and that's where I sort of got into that. And then only within the last like couple of years did I come back around to comic books, so it's kind of coming full circle.
Yeah, so
A little bit.
you've touched on it a little bit, but can you talk about a little bit how your practice has changed over time?
Yeah, I think most noticeably I've become more digital over time.
Okay.
In terms of just like the nitty-gritty process stuff. I think that has so much to do with just the time constraints with being you know, an illustrator with deadlines and all that kind of stuff. So yeah, the digital aspect is sort of a new thing. It's progressing that way. I'm always trying to challenge myself and use different medium and different tools and stuff like that.
Okay.
But for the most part, it stays pretty basic. It's ink, paper, and color. Digital color, mainly.
So you basically knew since you were a kid that you wanted to do comics.
Yeah,
Right.
to some extent. It
Because
went from-
my next question was going to be, what interested you in the comics medium?
Probably the storytelling aspect of it.
Yeah.
You know, the fact that like all storytelling mediums, like, you know, there's film and books and comic books. Comic books seems to be the most, you could just do the most with them. There's very few walls that you run into. There's so much potential in comic books, and I think that's
Yeah.
being shown more and more now with the type of work that's being put out. And there's so many different types of stories that you could tell.
Oh, absolutely.
I always got into comics from the style point of view, from
Yeah.
like who was drawing that comic. Like, I would leave a comic when I was a kid if the artist left. You know what I mean? It was always like the
I know
art
that
first.
feeling.
You know
yeah,
what I mean?
for sure.
So yeah.
Yeah, because you read stuff and then if it changes stylistically,
It's not the same.
it's not the same to
Yeah.
read
It
it.
doesn't feel the same either. Like, they just changed the artist on the Batgirl comics.
What?
And I was just like, how can you do that?
You
Like,
get-
you just
yeah.
changed her. You
You
It's
get
know?
it-
like
you get
watching
attached.
a movie with new actors in it, or like them just changing a TV show to have a whole new.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Like you don't do that.
Yeah.
And I know sometimes they just want to like feature an artist in that sense, which is cool, okay, but like maybe warn us.
Or sometimes the artist has to leave, go on to do other things.
Yeah.
Right, that's
so,
true.
Post on social media about it, so it's not.
yeah. We need warnings.
So do you do digital mainly now, or do you do?
Generally speaking, my process is, it starts off by hand. I do all my pencils and inks with real paper and all that kind of stuff, and then I'll scan it into the computer and color things digitally with Photoshop. But sometimes when the deadlines are really, really tight, and lately they have been, especially with comic book work,
Yeah.
I'll do it digital start to finish.
Okay.
And the great thing about the software now and the different types of programs is that you could really mimic, like, it. To me, it looks like I did it with real ink and real paper and all that kind of stuff. So it doesn't have like a cold sort of digital feel to it, which is great. And it just saves you the time of, you know, having to scan and possibly spilling ink and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, a lot of times, like, you can't even tell the difference.
No. So I mean, there's an artistic satisfaction that comes out of like doing it by hand. That's why I still try to do it as much as I can. I love holding it at the end and saying like, I did this, or having like having some ink on my hand.
Or instead of holding the tablet, like, it feels different.
It does.
Yeah, there's like evidence of your
yeah, and it's sort of like there's like a, you know, it's just nice to like hold a brush and move the paper and all that kind of stuff. So the tactile feel to it.
Absolutely. So what tools are you using now? Like, what are your favorite brands?
As far as like ink goes, I use Winsor Newton ink. I've tried so many different inks over the years. They're my fallback. I love their ink. I mean, this is like real art nerd stuff. But
tell us. We like to learn all of this stuff.
Yeah, Winsor Newton ink. I use brushes. The type of brushes I use are essentially watercolor brushes.
Okay.
And they range in size from like a number 1 to maybe like a number 3. So you get different sizes for different levels of detail. Say you're doing a face, you want to use like a thinner brush, and if you're doing maybe more broad strokes to outline, maybe something a little bit thicker. I use paper, basic Bristol board paper. A lot of comic book artists use. There's different finishes. You can have a vellum finish, you can have a smooth finish.
Okay.
I sort of go back and forth between the two. And as far as like the digital stuff goes, I use a Cintiq, which you could draw right onto the tablet.
Oh, cool.
Which is really great. So it mimics the whole drawing experience.
Yeah.
And I use Photoshop as my software that I run for that.
Gotcha.
So, yeah, it's pretty basic. I mean, I could take it really wherever I want, which is nice. Like physically, sometimes I take my work to a cafe or wherever just to sort of like get out of my own studio. You know?
Have you, like, I'm really clumsy, and I actually really do like inks, but I feel like I've definitely had a moment where I was doing something and the ink probably just fell and like destroyed everything.
Yeah.
Have you ever had something happen like that?
Yeah, I mean, it happens. It happens. Yeah.
More than once.
Yeah. Oh, definitely. I mean, all the years that I've been drawing, it's happened several times.
You just come out and you're just like, ah.
Oh God. Yeah. So that's like one of the things about digital that sort of
That's true. It's
prevents
cleaner.
that. Although something could crash, you could
That's true,
not
too.
have saved something. So there's occupational hazards with anything.
So you have a studio?
I work from home, so I have a little area in my apartment that I work out of.
What's that creative space like? How do you feel the most inspired when you're working?
Do you like candles?
Oh,
yeah,
yeah,
candles. You take a bath
professional.
beforehand.
I have to have rose petals all over the floor. I chain smoke cigarettes. No, actually, none of that. I preferably like to have as clean a space as possible. When making art, especially on deadline, things like, it almost feels like paper is being thrown around. Like, things get very messy very quickly, very easily. So I try to keep it as clean as possible. I feel like when I have a clean space, like all of a sudden, like I'm more creative, I'm more focused. It's not always super clean, but I try to keep it as clean as possible. Yeah.
That's a surprising one, because a lot of artists are just like, you know,
Oh,
whatever.
yeah. Some people really thrive in like a sort of a messy environment. That's cool.
Because
but-
all of your creative genius and focus is into your work. Good for you if you could keep it clean too.
I try. I'm not always
I'm with you.
really good at it, but yeah.
So, are you doing any other jobs aside from illustration right now?
Just illustration.
Just
so
illustration.
it ranges
That's awesome.
from comic stuff to magazine work to
My
some
phone
other
is
kind of
ringing.
stuff.
Lisa.
Go for it.
I'm not
Is
answering
it for me? It might be.
Hello? Is it me you're looking for? You're just an illustrator right now, which is awesome for someone, you know, creative. But what other jobs have you done before, if any?
I've had many jobs. I've done a lot of things. I probably the last job that I had, I've been completely freelance for the past like almost 5 years.
That's
probably. Awesome. And the last thing I was doing was I was actually an office cleaner, and before that I was a dog walker.
What?
I've worked at bookstores, grocery stores.
That's great.
Yeah.
Dog walkers unite.
Oh, you too?
Yeah, I used to. Not
Okay,
anymore.
very cool.
I have 2 dogs.
Well, if you need someone to walk them, the 2 of
Yeah,
us.
Jonah did take care of my pup while I was away. So
Cool.
So as a Brooklyn native,
Yeah.
what's your go-to pizza spot?
Oh boy, I don't really eat pizza that much anymore. But,
What?
But I know it's hard, especially
What?
living in Brooklyn. There's so many. I mean, if you want good pizza, it's Brooklyn, Queens, probably the Bronx, and I'm probably not so much Manhattan, but
Yeah, Manhattan's mostly like that dollar pizza.
and it's like the chain places.
Yeah.
It's nothing that you
Yeah.
can't get anywhere else. Probably.
I totally agree.
We always feel like pizza's better here than whenever we're in Manhattan.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, for sure.
It's a very high bar.
Yeah.
Got a very high bar here.
Yeah.
We got pizza slices that are like this big and yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, pretty much you could go anywhere in Brooklyn and probably get a good slice. So
Okay.
I don't want to single out anyone in particular.
All right, because who knows, the mob might come after you.
It's true. It's true. I can't be disloyal to anyone.
So, as a comic book reader and an illustrator, this is a very important question.
Oh boy.
What superpower would you have if you got to choose?
It's a tough one because you think about this a lot. I don't know. I do. Probably just like a comic book thing. But
I definitely think about it a lot too.
I think like obviously the first thing that comes to my head is flying because it would be awesome. I mean, I hate heights, but I would love to be able to. I would love to be able to like hover. Like, so if I had the ability to fly, I really wouldn't go like all the way up in the sky. I would
Like
just want to like.
Ermac in Mortal Kombat? Do
Oh
you play
God!
Mortal Kombat?
No, I'm like a really
Okay.
bad video game guy. But, I would just like sort of like hover or sort of like leap from building to building, that kind of thing.
Kind of
So
like
I,
Jessica Jones.
Yes, like
yeah,
Jessica
exactly,
Jones. All right.
exactly.
Okay.
So,
It's like
so like
low-key.
low-key superhero
Yeah.
stuff, which I think is cool. So maybe that, but then also like Wolverine's like superhuman healing. That's like
Oh, that's true.
really, really like practical, and I think that would serve a lot more.
With super healing like that, you could basically live forever.
That's the whole
essentially,
thing.
right?
Well,
I don't know. I didn't watch Logan.
Oh
you
yeah.
wouldn't have to watch Logan to know.
I don't know.
It's a comic.
I didn't read
Spoiler
X-Men
alert,
or
but-
Wolverine comics. Does he die?
It sounds like that.
Next question.
Next question. We're actually gonna do a lightning round.
Oh shoot.
Right now.
Time
Okay.
for the lightning round.
It's time for the
Wow.
lightning round.
Okay, what sound do dinosaurs make?
What kind of car do you drive?
What's your dog's favorite color?
Oh my God.
What's your favorite childhood memory?
Wow.
Do you like ice cream or long walks on the beach?
How often do you shower?
Favorite brand of tuna fish?
Whoa, shoot.
Favorite
This is-
cartoon show?
Batman the Animated Series.
John Travolta or Patrick Swayze?
Hot dogs or
91.
burgers?
Burgers.
Okay, that's all the time we have.
Okay.
That's all we have
Wow.
for today.
I'm exhausted.
We are here for you today to do a giveaway.
Giveaway.
Thomas Pitilli is currently working on 2 sketch covers, blank sketch covers of the Riverdale one-shot that we want to give to you guys. Lisa, what are the rules to get these?
The rules of this giveaway are: you must subscribe to our channel, subscribe button below, and you must also follow Thomas at his Instagram right here, and make sure you share the post. And with those 3 little simple rules, you will be entered to win one of the 2 sketch covers that Thomas is drawing today.
That's it for today. I hope you enjoyed the interview with Thomas Pitilli and his live drawing, which we will be giving away to 2 lucky fans of both of us. The rules and all that will be on our Instagram, so head over there for that. And make sure you follow Thomas on Instagram and...
Instagram, Snapchat, Twitter, Facebook. You could just find me at Thomas Pitilli on all of those.
Awesome. Nice and simple. You want to take us out?
Yeah, thanks for watching, and have a good one.
Let's start a fire.
Let's start a fire.
Bye.